Hey, I'm DatModz, and welcome to my Diablo 4 review. This is the character splash screen, Conic Fire. You're able to create 5 different playable classes on launch. You get Barbarian, the Necromancer, the Sorcerer, the Rogue, and the Druid. But just pick whatever character you want. They're not gender locked, so you can play male or female. And then you can get into character customization. They got some presets here, or if you want to tailor a little more to your liking, you could do so. Let's click through some of the options so you can see what it has. I definitely say it's above average in terms of your typical ARPG customization, but nothing too crazy. Throw some tattoos on it or something, throw some markings. But anyways, once you get done with your character customization, you're met with a couple options. You can play hardcore mode, and then after you finish the initial campaign, you actually get a skip campaign button, which, well, it does exactly what you think it does. You can skip the campaign. So let's make our character real quick, and I'll show you guys how the skip campaign works. So we're just going to start game. Boom. You have 2 different world tier difficulties that you can level on, world tier 1 and world tier 2. That just gives 20% more experience and 15% more gold. It actually doesn't give enhanced drop rates, and the experience given by quests is not enhanced either. So just play whatever you want. And then the big thing that really matters is unlocking world tier 3 difficulty later on. Okay, since we decided to elect to skip the campaign, we just spawn in Kyle Vashad. You gain access to your mount right away. You just obtain this by doing your campaign quests, and you'll get around level 30-ish. It depends on how much like side content you're doing. And I'll show you guys what the additional difficulties are real quick. So this is your world tier statue. You can just come down and change your world tier difficulty. You got the world tier 1 that you guys seen already, world tier 2, and then world tier 3. Once you hit level 50, you will gain access to this. In order to unlock it, you need to complete a special Capstone Dungeon, which is in Kyle Vashad. It'll unlock some new items and stuff, nightmare sigils, so you could do the endgame rifting mapping system of Diablo 4, which is basically just a dungeons with enhanced affixes. Helltides appear across the sanctuary, which is another one of the endgame activities, like corrupted zone. You like collect this currency, and then you could spend it to kind of like focus farm certain item slots, and champion monsters with damage resist auras can appear. They're more formidable. You get a lot more experience, 100% more experience, 15% more gold, and monsters overwhelm 20% resist. And then as you continue your journey in the game at level 70, you'll be able to unlock torment difficulty. You'll get ancestral items, new unique items, and more experience, more gold, stuff like that. That's the same amount of gold. More resist though, and more experience. And that's a dungeon. You guys are probably asking yourself, what the heck is the difference between sacred items and normal items? And I'll show you real quick on my other character. So, okay, so once you unlock nightmare difficulty or world tier 3, you'll start dropping these new items. They are called sacred. Well, they're like highlighted a little bit. The major difference is they roll more affixes and stuff, not just on rare items, but also legendary items. So it's items that roll enhanced stat and additional affixes. For the pre-launch test, I decided to play a druid, mostly because of the 17 damage beams. I wanted to really see how the class played out, especially with its class specialization, which is spirit boons. So I want to show you guys this real quick. You just unlock these like in Act 2, and it just gives your character some additional power. Going through these little bonuses and stuff like that. Reset cooldowns on lucky hit spear restore, defense stuff. Every 10th kill causes enough to Earth skill to overpower. Anyways, you're probably wondering how you unlock these. You basically just kill stuff in the game. You get the offerings, and then you just fully unlock each tier. Once you fully unlock each of the different spirits, what you're able to do is specialize into one. Just basically make it so you could have 2 options in the node, and you can just freely do it. If you find like a new item or something cool, you just swap your build very easily. In addition to that, leveling wise, I pretty much just kept on swapping my build over and over again. I'm playing like a pulverized earth base overpowered build right now. I played wind druid. I basically played everything while leveling, depending on my drops, and it was just really easy to refund. Even at this point, it's not overly expensive to refund all my nodes, or you just just individually respec if you wanted to. You also have your paragon board that unlocks level 50, and this is like where the deeper customization will come into play in Diablo 4. You have your little bonus travel nodes. You have these rare nodes that give you a little enhanced power. Then you get bonuses based off radial requirements. And as you pass through, you'll get glyphs. Glyphs just drop during dungeons. A bunch of them. I'll just highlight over them so you can see them all. And anyways, once you complete your Nightmare Dungeon stuff, you'll get the ability to level them up, and you could place some into your glyph sockets. And then eventually you'll progress through, you'll unlock some more boards, and you could rotate them, attach them here, and just keep on doing the same exact thing. And it gives your character another layer of customization outside of just the skill tree. And I'll just show my gear too if you guys want real quick. And also found this sacred unique armor that would make me into wolf form permanently. Well, it's my true form. And I gain +2 rank to all werewolf skills. There won't be any story spoilers in this review. However, the entire experience was honestly amazing between the voice acting, the lore, the cutscene, the cinematics, the music. The entire ambiance and setting of the game was very well done, which led to a very enjoyable leveling experience. And honestly, I don't expect anything less from Blizzard. This is usually something that they nail, and I think they did that with Diablo 4. The people should. Hopefully they enjoy it. Okay, let's talk about the thing that pretty much everyone wants to know more about, and that's what your end game loop and experience is going to look like in Diablo 4. I want to list off the different activities, and they'll break down each system into more detail. So anyways, you have Renown, you have the Tree of Whispers, you have Capstone Dungeons, you have your Paragon boards, you have your Field of Hatred, you have your Helltides, you have your Nightmare Dungeons, you have your multiple world bosses, and you have one Pinnacle boss. In addition to just leveling your characters, another thing that you'll be doing in Diablo 4 is progressing your regional progress, and each one of these has rewards that are extremely strong for your character, so you don't want to miss out on them. It's just completionist stuff. So you just open up the little menu here, make sure you focus on each one of your zones, make sure to get your skill points, your obols, and eventually your Paragon points. I found naturally over time you would do this because one of the endgame systems, the Tree of Whispers, it's going to essentially incentivize you to do certain dungeons and objectives in a zone. So kind of just naturally obtain these things over time, or you can just focus on the area if you wanted to accelerate your progress in one particular place. The Tree of Whispers is the first endgame system that you're going to be introduced to in Diablo 4. And it basically does Diablo 3 bounties, but better. You'll do a little quest, it'll give you an overview, and then, once that happens, a bunch of icons will pop up all over your world map. These icons will be just objectives that you have to complete. They'll be within dungeons, they'll be within cellars, they'll be like overworld events, they'll be like kill quests, there'll be like world bosses you could do, there'll be things in the PvP zone that you could do. And each one of these objectives that you complete rewards this thing called Grim Favors of different values. Sometimes you'll get one, sometimes you'll get 3, sometimes you'll get 5. And once you accumulate 10 Grim Favors, you'll go back to your Tree of Whispers to do a turn-in. And then you'll have to make basically a selection here, right? There'll be 3 different caches. These caches are usually for different item slots. Sometimes they're of common quality, sometimes they're of legendary quality. You just get a bunch of loot. Anyways, once you do these turn-ins, you can just go back out and just keep on doing these over and over again. However, each objective is only available for a limited amount of time before it swaps to a different region or a different dungeon or a different cellar. So it ties in very well with the Renown system, because you'll naturally complete your zone achievements by utilizing the Tree of Whispers. And Renown is extremely powerful for your character progression in Diablo 4, because it gives you a bunch of skill points and potions and Paragon points and obols. So you definitely want to be focusing on this, especially as you progress deeper into the end game. Capstone Dungeons, there's 2 of them. The first one is recommended to do at level 50. This will unlock World Tier 3. And the second one is recommended at level 70, which will unlock World Tier 4. And ultimately, that's your end game goal, because World Tier 4 is where the best loot resides. You can do these dungeons either solo or in a group. So if you have an extremely strong friend, or if you want to pay someone some gold or some items to carry you through, you could 100% do that. Upon completion of these dungeons, you'll gain access to sacred items, you'll gain access to ancestral items, unique items, you'll get a huge experience boost from your world tiers, you'll unlock nightmare dungeons, and you'll unlock Helltides. Thematically, these dungeons were really, really cool. There was a sweet boss fight, the mobs were a little more difficult, but it wasn't overly difficult. I actually ended up doing them deathless, so it wasn't too bad. Okay, let's talk about the Field of Hatred, which is the PvP zone in Diablo 4. It's not really just a PvP zone. There's a lot of PvE elements to it also, so it really reminds me of the Dark Zone from The Division. But anyways, there's two different areas on the maps where you can electively go into these spots to engage with this content. You're not forced to PvP by any means at all, so don't have that idea that you're like they're forcing to PvP. And if you die in here on hardcore, you just die forever, by the way. But anyways, when you enter the zone, you'll get this little prompt and it'll be like, activate your mark for blood. And this enables you to like kill their players. And if you ever want to remove it, you can just go to the town hubs within the PvP zones and you can just cleanse it off. However, if you kill enough people, you'll get this little little thing called Hatred's Chosen on you. And then if you survive it, you'll get a bunch of good rewards. Now, there's also a lot of PvE elements in the Field of Hatred that you can engage with, a bunch of activities and events. There's like a boss called the Seething Abomination. And when you kill all these things, you're going to be dropping material called the Seeds of Hatred. This is basically the unrefined currency. And if you die or you leave the area, you'll lose them. But anyways, once you accrue enough Seeds of Hatred and you're happy with your bounty, you have to extract it at these things called a purification ritual. There's little markers on the map. You go to these purification rituals, you click the little ritual altar, and then an event will start. And this, I guess it kind of like it's kind of trying to attract other players to you to stop you from extracting your items. Then if you successfully do that, it's converted to red dust. Red dust is a currency that's used specifically in the PvP zone. You can use it to get cosmetic stuff, mount related stuff. There's a gambling vendor just like the purveyor of curiosities called Unsavory Oddities, and that's pretty much it. So you just go there if you just want to have fun in PvP. During this beta, I went there and there was no one PvP, so I was just doing the PvE elements. I wish I could tell you more about the PvP stuff, but I literally just sat around and no one would ever show up to it. Helltides, they unlock once you complete your Capstone Dungeon and enter World Tier 3. And basically how it functions is it's 1 hour on, 1 hour off. And when the events are active, you can look at your overworld map. There's an icon and the entire area is covered in a very, very apparent red shade. So you know when it's going on. But anyways, when you enter this area, the mobs are going to be tougher. There's going to be like bosses events and stuff like that. And there's going to be meteors dropping from the sky that just do an insane amount of damage. I know the first time I entered this area, I was just killing things super easily. Then all of a sudden, like this level 70 guy spawned, he just started wrecking my stuff, and I just ended up running away. So you want to be cautious when you're doing these areas, or potentially just enter them with a group to make it a little bit easier. Anyways, Helltides are integral to your progression because they drop materials that allow you to upgrade the higher quality stuff in World Tier 3 and World Tier 4. In addition to that, as you're killing stuff, it drops Aberrant Cinders. Aberrant Cinders unlock chests within the Helltide, and this is the way to focus farm specific item slot upgrades. So if you're having bad RNG, you want to get a specific like unique or legendary, you could just run Helltides, collect these cinders, and then go to the chest and potentially have a higher chance of getting it instead of just having random loot. Nightmare Dungeons, this is going to be your main endgame activity in Diablo 4, and it's basically rifts or maps from other ARPGs. They'll start dropping once you hit World Tier 3. I got my first sigils from completion of my Tree of Whispers turn-in, and These sigils will basically range from level 1 to level 100, being the highest tier of the Nightmare Dungeon. They'll also have a limited number of revives on it, so it starts like really forgiving, and then as you progress through the tiers, you'll have less lives to use within the dungeon. If you just play hardcore, you just can't die at all. In addition to that, each dungeon will have affixes on it. Some are helpful and the other ones are detrimental. If you don't like the sigil that you got, you can just go to the occultist, you can salvage them, and you can end up recrafting them. So anyways, when you want to go and run a Nightmare Dungeon, all you do is click the sigil in your inventory, and then it'll turn that normal overland dungeon into a Nightmare Dungeon, and you just go enter it. Once you're in the dungeon itself, you're just going to be completing objectives like you normally would. You're going to do kill quests, you're going to be doing animus collection, you're going to be killing bosses and whatnot. And then while you're in this dungeon doing the completion, you'll also start dropping glyphs and other sigils to enter more Nightmare Dungeons. I think actually people will be pleasantly surprised by the difficulty of these. They're not super face roll. They're definitely going to test your build. It definitely encourages reactive based gameplay. If you don't watch out, you can just get killed in like a CC chain, so make sure you got unstoppable. And then anyways, at the end of the Nightmare Dungeon, you're going to get rewards. Sometimes it's legendary, sometimes unique, sometimes it's rares, and there's going to be an obelisk. This obelisk is almost like the NPC in Diablo 3 where you level up your legendary gem, but instead you're going to be leveling up your glyphs, which are insertables that go into your Paragon board. And your Paragon board is where a lot of your endgame power is going to be derived from your character. It's also where a lot of theory crafting is go into, because there are a lot of variations within this board, and it's going to give you deeper control of your character and really allow you to truly min-max what you're doing. There's going to be 3 world bosses on launch, and this is kind of like your Michael Bay wow moment. There'll be an icon that pops up on your overworld map 30 minutes prior, basically letting you know there is going to be a world boss spawning in the region. Anyways, you go over there, you'll be assigned an instance with some random people, or you can put together a party and go there also. And you kind of just hope that the other people within your zone are geared enough to tackle this boss, which could be problematic because sometimes you might not have a good enough group to actually kill it. But anyways, if you successfully kill the world boss, you'll get a cache, you'll get some drops with some rewards, and it might be an upgrade for your character. In addition to that, there's also going to be a pinnacle boss, which is kind of like your real endgame aspirational content, and for people that actually really want to challenge themselves outside of like a tier 100 Nightmare Dungeon, this is what you're going to be looking to do. Overall, I'm actually really happy with Diablo 4. The entire early game experience, the story, the lore, the cutscenes, the cinematics, the music, it was really tied in very well together, and honestly the Blizzard art team knocked it out of the park. The graphics themselves, I definitely think best in genre. The combat was visceral, it was engaging, it was reactive. I like the addition of the spacebar. It gave you a lot more control over your character and your positioning outside of just your movement skills. The other nice thing about Diablo 4, when we used to meme about it with the skill twig, I like the casual friendly entry point. The game isn't super intimidating or hard to get into, but there is that depth, complexity, and like challenge later on by adding in the Paragon boards, by having like your higher tier Nightmare Dungeon, by having the pinnacle bosses. There is stuff to theory craft, and there is things to test players' skill, especially with the up-and-coming race to hardcore level 100. Currently, the variety of endgame systems, I think, will keep players happy. Also, at some point, I think people could possibly get annoyed riding their horse to every objective over and over and over again. So that's definitely something that they might have to adjust in the future. In regards to game performance, I didn't have a single crash the entire time I played in like 40 hours. There was like some minimal bugs. One time I like rode my horse into a wall and I got stuck and I just logged out of the game. Other than that, I didn't actually have any crazy bugs or exploits or stuff like that I ran into. Now, honestly, I think Diablo 4 has an amazing foundation. And, you know, they are promising a lot with all the seasonal content and the games of live service. So in the future, I would definitely like to see more aspirational content in terms of like pinnacle boss, endgame stuff. I would really like to see the addition of crafting. And you guys will probably 100% agree with this as you play the game more. The game really needs the loot filter. Yeah, there's a decent amount of loot drop, and at a certain point, you don't want to be picking up everything. Anyways, final thoughts, I would probably give Diablo 4 an 8.5 out of 10. Actually, a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Anyways, thank you guys very much for watching my review of Diablo 4. If you want to watch more of my content, I will be live pretty much every day, no live streaming Diablo 4 at twitch.tv/DatModz. So hope to see you guys in game. Peace.